Going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Hot Seat. So this is our first NBA podcast, and this is our first podcast in like 3-4 months. But we have a lot to get into. So my two co-hosts over here, Salim and Hamal, are both Clipper fans, and the Clippers made a big move. They they claimed John Wall off waivers after he cleared waivers from the Houston Rockets. How do you guys both feel about the pickup of John Wall?
You know what? I'm gonna start him off. So I know me and Thodic have talked about this a lot, but as much as I like it, we don't really know what we're gonna get out of him. Like everybody's been saying, last time we saw him, he's a 20-7 guy. Although he was inefficient and on a pretty bad team, it's promising, and we know what people see in the prospect of John Wall being on the Clippers. At the same time, it's not a really big risk because you're only paying him about $6 million for 2 years. But we don't really know. We don't know. We can't know. And honestly, I don't even know if he's going to be starting. It just depends. But we do know what role he's going to play, at least for me. I think that he will be that fourth or fifth scoring option. I think he's probably the fourth or fifth best scorer on that team. But I think he's going to have a lot of link-up play with Zubac. And he's just going to set up Kawhi and Paul George. I mean, he showed flashes of being a great passer in the past, especially with having Bradley Beal setting him up, making him get those 20, 30-point seasons. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm coming in with expectations, knowing this dude hasn't played basketball in 2 years. So hopefully he succeeds. But Thodic, as a Laker fan, I do want to ask you a question.
Shoot it.
I want to ask you a question. What do you think? What are you happy now that you know that the Clippers got him for zero value, but you guys almost traded him for Russell Westbrook and a THT and a first? So what do you think about that?
For one, I feel like I'm one of the most non-biased Laker fans that I know, and that's not like trying to like put myself up. I'm just being honest right here.
Not wrong.
So I actually really was happy when I found out that he went to the Clippers because I think he fits what you guys need. But I'm also very happy that we didn't trade for John Wall because one, I think that he's not worth everything that they want. He's not worth a first-round pick, that's for sure. And we're seeing that THT, Russ, and that first-round pick are able to get us a lot more other things that are in the market right now. So as a Laker fan, I'm happy we didn't make that trade. I didn't want that trade to be made at the time. And I'm happy he ended up with you guys on a 2-year, $13 million. But Hamal, since you're also a Clipper fan, I want to hear your take into this.
Honestly, I like that we got John Wall just because we've been needing a playmaker for the longest time now. And also, I'm kind of sick and tired to see Reggie Jackson in the fourth quarter and crunch time moments just ball.
No, but he's crazy though. That's the thing. He's crazy.
Sometimes you either get the Reggie Jackson that can win you the game or the Reggie Jackson that can sell you the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I did like about. Plus, with John Wall, we could finally have that playmaker in crunch time that could set up Kawhi, Paul George that we always needed. Just like in that Dallas series last year, when I believe it was in the final seconds, Kawhi airballed the three. It's because we didn't have a good playmaker on the court. We had Rondo, but then let's be real, Rondo's washed right now.
And LeBron would never. LeBron would never.
Wow.
Wait, but I did want to ask, where do you guys view him as? Do you guys view him as a full-time starter, as a sixth man, as a in-between? What are you guys thinking?
All right, I'm gonna take this one really quickly. I'll let you share your idea. For me personally, I would like to see a lineup of I would like to see John Wall start. It's not that I don't think he's gonna start immediately though. So I think it's gonna be Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and then Zubac at the 5. Assuming that we stay with our lineup not assuming that we stay with our lineup that was present 2 years ago, which was Reggie Jackson, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, and Zubac. And I've heard people say that we really like the Lawrence Frank in the front office really likes the impact that Marcus Morris has when when he's with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, just because he spaces the floor out so well. And I don't know. I honestly think that our spacing would get better if we do downsize. I think that's obviously evident. If Kawhi is at the 4, our defense will get slightly worse, but at the same time, you're upgrading at the guard position defensively with Paul George, and then Norman Powell is not a bad defender at all. He's a solid on-ball defender, and he's very capable of being a good defender. Also, with his scoring, he's a spark plug. But Hamal, before you do say your starting lineup, so before I forget, we're on the topic of the Clippers. I don't think we're really going to touch on them at all later in the episode, but I do want to say, me and Thodic had the privilege of being on a NBA reporter call, like a space last week, or a couple days ago actually, and I had the privilege to ask Shams Charania a question. Okay, so I basically asked Shams, I was like, "What do you think that the Clippers should do at that backup center position?" I was just saying, I love our depth, but at the same time, we literally only have Zubac and nobody else. And by the way, I'm not BSing this. I swear I'm not BSing this. So I basically asked him, I was like, is there anybody the Clippers are looking at right now? And he straight up told me, he says, honestly, they're prepared to go into the season without a starting backup center. So with that being said, I would like to see him trade for a Miles Turner or even pick up a Blake. I do want to ask you guys though, really quickly, because I know we're talking about John Wall. Just really quickly, what do you guys think that the Clippers who the Clippers should pick up between Blake or Dwight? Hamile, if you want to take that one real quick.
Honestly, we earlier in the free agency period, I think the Clippers are exploring to trade Marcus Morris. I feel like we should trade him. This is the fact that we have too many wings. On the bench, we have Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Covington, and more other guys that are useful for the team. I feel like Morris is there. And also, we could get Miles Turner maybe for Morris, somebody decently good backup center. But if we had to go free agency and get one, honestly, I like to see Blake back, just because OG Clipper fan and yeah.
Of course. All right, what about you, T?
I agree with the Blake. I think Blake would be really nice off your guys' bench. A solid stretch 5. I mean, isn't Blake how tall is Blake Griffin?
He's about 6'10", 6'11", honestly. He's not undersized at all.
He's not a big center, but he's still a stretch 5 who can help. Like you're saying, you wanted to stretch out the offense. Blake Griffin does that beautifully. He'll fit the team. He knows the Clipper organization. The ties there might not be as good after you guys did him pretty dirty, but I think that he did say that he wanted to return to LA, and I really could not want to see him on the Lakers, and I don't want to see him. So I think it'd be best for him to end up with the Clippers. I know you want to say something, Simon, but I do want to get him out thoughts on the John Wall trade.
Yes, just one more thing about Blake. What about one more thing about Blake? He did in that series, by the way, he only played about 2 games against Boston. And in those games, he was a plus 22. You have to be that good to obviously you have to actually have an impact to get a plus 22 in only 2 games. And in what's called, they were down by 20 points in that game 3 that he came in, and they only lost by about 6 points or 7 points, something like that. So Blake has a real impact on the game. He shot about 40% from 3. I still think he'll be good. It's just that we need to give him a little bit of minutes. I think that with being back home, he'll be good. But Hamal, share your thoughts. I'm bad.
I go back to the original topic.
Yeah.
I'm seeing John Wall more as a 6-man to start the season, what Sam said. Later on, he's gonna be upgraded to a starter role. It's John Wall, I don't know what team did this, but I think they had players start off at the bench then play the starter role at the.
It was the Warriors. It was the Warriors with Curry.
Yeah, Warriors with Curry. I feel like they're gonna do the same thing just so John Wall can be more warmed up and ready, because he hasn't played basketball in 2 years. He's not a Kawhi level where you can instantly, even though he hasn't played basketball in a year, you can instantly put in the lineup. So
yeah.
And then as regard for my starting lineup for the Clippers, I just see them as of right now, I see them going with their original starting lineup, Reggie, Paul George, Kawhi, Morris, and Zubac, because if it's not broken, might as well not change it.
Yeah,
I agree. So this summer we also saw a lot of guys get max extensions, We saw people like Devin Booker, John Morant, Zion Williamson, Nikola Jokic, Darius Garland, and KarlAnthony Towns.
Don't forget about Bradley Beal.
5-year max extensions with their original teams. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on some extensions. Like, we could start off with the 2000 and I believe it was 19 draft class of John Morant and Zion getting rookie max extensions. We'll start off with the easier, obvious one of John Morant, who just won the most improved player. I want to get both of your thoughts on John Morant signing a rookie max extension with the Memphis Grizzlies. Starting with, let's start off with Hamas.
I like this move by Memphis because they basically committing to John Morant long term, and also like I feel like John Morant could be something really special in the NBA as long as he's paired with the right guys. And plus, like I like how like the Grizzlies are like they're just a young team and they value the young depth. So I feel like if they keep moving on this direction, they're gonna be like really dangerous coming forward.
I agree. Salim, would you like to give your thoughts?
You already know how I feel about Ja. I think he's special. I think he arguably is a top 10 player in the NBA already. The level of impact he's displayed on the Grizzlies organization in about 2 years of really being elite is just something we've seen it, but it hasn't been this evident where they jumped from being a 7 seed to being a 2 seed that quickly, and without anybody, by the way, and it's all homegrown talent. And I just want to bring up a prospect that I was thinking of. What are the chances we might see a Kevin Durant to Memphis trade? I know it's very slim. They could make a package around Jaren. I just think that they're 1 star away. Maybe I was even thinking about Bradley Beal. If he didn't sign back with Washington, I would love to see that in Memphis. I think that's a match made in heaven, especially with the level of defense that Memphis already has at the guard position. I think that Bradley Beal would kind of get hidden by like a tandem of, say, Ja, Bradley Beal, Dylan Brooks. You could go with Jaren Jackson at the 4 and Steven Adams at the 5. I think defensively that lineup's set and offensively.
Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane's solid too, but I think he's more of a 6-man role. I love Memphis going forward. I just think they're 1 piece away from truly contending, and I think that piece might have been even Rudy Gobert. I think that would have been perfect for them. Imagine Twin Towers. I mean, they already have the spacing, they have the defense, and they have the star power to do it. To me, Ja is probably a top 3 guy I would start my organization with right now. And I know it's a very big hot take, but I'd take him over Zion right now just because of the health. And I think there's only about 2 guys at his age, around his age, that'll take over him, being Luka and maybe, somebody. But I just think that Ja is something special, man. I think it's the level of athleticism he displays. He reminds me of Derrick Rose, and he doesn't use his knees as much, so the health concern is way, way dramatically lower. So, yeah, that's what I think about it.
So I wanted to add on to that real quick. You said that you would want them to trade for Kevin Durant or for Bradley Beal. I, for one, would rather them continue their homegrown draft and continue because I like the additions they've made to the draft. I think Zaire Williams is still very young and has room to
Who'd they pick up this year? Sorry to cut you off, but who'd they pick up this year?
I think it was Kennedy Chandler.
That's Kenneth Lofton too. I saw him bullying Cade yesterday. But go on, Thaddeus. Sorry.
So I like what they've done through the draft. Jaren Jackson through the draft, John Morant through the draft, Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark. They've made a lot of good draft picks. They obviously have shown that their front office knows what they're doing in the last few years of drafting, and they know how to find the guys they want. And even like a guy like John Conchar, who doesn't get a lot of minutes, I know he signed an extension today.
Yeah.
2 years, 19 mil, I believe it was. But he, like, even guys like him who went undrafted, they know what they're doing. They know what they're finding. They know what they like. So I would say that they should continue to build through the draft. We've seen teams like the Golden State Warriors who were able to completely build through the draft, and they got a Kevin Durant through free agency where they didn't have to give up anything. They were able to just get him. And I believe that with Jaren Jackson Jr., with John Morant, with Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, all those guys, excuse me, and Kennedy Chandler and everybody, all their young guys, one day in the future, they could end up being a team like that. We've seen them. They're young right now. They still have a lot of room to grow as a as a core group. So they still have a lot of room to grow and do their thing and figure it out. And I like what they're doing through the draft. I don't think they need to rush anything yet.
Yep, perfect.
Mal, do you have any thoughts?
I 100% agree with you. Like I was saying earlier, like they just need to keep their young core together. And if it doesn't work, then maybe they could trade for like pieces. But like let's keep the experiment going until it's like if it's like broken, like something bad happens.
Wait, what do you guys think about the loss of Kyle Anderson for the Memphis? Is it going to affect them in the long run, or in the short term right now? Because I mean, he was very good for them. But I don't know. This is just a quick question. Just say yes or no.
Not really.
No. Yeah.
What I would say, if I can add on to that real quick, I would say the loss doesn't matter as much for the Grizzlies as it is a benefit for the Minnesota Timberwolves who were able to pick him up. I really do like that move for them. I don't think it'll affect the Grizzlies, but I think it is a positive for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Perfect. Yep.
So with that, we can move on to another guy who was able to get a rookie max extension on his birthday. He was able to sign the extension. Zion Williamson signed a 5-year, $232 million extension with the New Orleans Pelicans. Both of you can share your thoughts on that real quick.
Yeah, so last time we saw Zion in NBA, he was absolutely magnificent. I don't know if that's the word to say, but he was great. He was pushing. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but he missed like 20 games, I think, the last season he played like a full year. He was averaging 27 points. Like Thodic said earlier, he is the first player in NBA history to average 25 points while shooting over a 60% clip. He's also the first player. He has the most points in his first 2 seasons, just like Thodic told me. This is the same thing Thodic told me since Michael Jordan. He is.
Can I just add that real quick? I just want to break the stat down real quick. So the stat that released was, yes, he's the first player in NBA history to average 25 plus points with 60% efficiency. And the second part was he has the second most points in an 82 game in his first 82 games. It was 2000 something. The only player to ever beat him was Michael Jordan.
Yeah. All right. So, and also last time we saw him, he's averaging 27 and 8, and he's also showing flashes of being a good passer, which I didn't understand. My main concern with him always was his turnovers and obviously his health, which we've seen his health deteriorate since. Not deteriorate, but his playing shape. He always bigger guys like that tend to play into shape during the season, and we've seen it, hurt guys like Shaq, especially later in their career, and we're seeing it right now affect James Harden, like so much. So I love Zion. He was great his first 2 seasons. I'm so excited to see him back. But I think the contract is worth it always. When you have a guy like that, you need to lock them up. In other cases like Bradley Beal, which we'll get into later, I'm a little bit against it. But you know what? Zion's not even getting paid. He's getting paid around 40 in the 42 million range. I'm fine with that as long as he stays healthy and as long as he comes back stronger than ever, because he's looking good right now. And I want to see him develop a 3-point shot because he took under 0.5 threes per game last year. I'm just excited to see him back on the court. That's it, honestly. Mile, if you want to go real quick.
Yeah, I actually like that New Orleans are instead of bashing the young star, blaming him for not being in shape. I like how they're just committing and helping him to grow, become a better player, and saying, "Oh, you know what? We give you this max deal, and in return you give us your potential, whatever you could be." But it's Zion with this New Orleans core. I see them going places. This New Orleans team almost beat the Suns. I feel like 1 or 2 games could have gone their way, but if Zion was there, I think they sweep the Suns. To be honest,
sweep. If he's fully healthy, I'm sure that might have happened.
Yeah,
but yeah,
maybe in 5 they beat them in 5 because the Suns are pretty bad. But yeah, I like that New Orleans is committing to Zion, and hopefully he gets healthy. Hope he doesn't turn out like another AD. But
AD's I would be happy with AD.
What was that for, bro? What was that?
Okay,
Come on,
I
bro.
think he means hopefully he doesn't turn into like another Anthony Bennett.
Nah, bro. He's just throwing names out, bro. He knows what he's doing, bro. He's trying to get in my head.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
funny.
I don't just Sal's point about like Zion like shooting like developing a shot. If he develops a shot like he did in like I believe his first ever NBA game, he made like what 4 threes.
4 threes.
Yeah.
4 threes. I think it was like all back to back.
Bro, we all thought we were seeing the second coming up like Jesus, bro. It was weird.
I was so confused.
Yeah, if he develops a shot, this New Orleans team is gonna like it's gonna be like scary.
Who they pick this year? Dyson Daniels. Is that he's solid?
I
right?
love that.
I've seen him in the Australia. I think he's from Australia.
Yeah,
I've seen him. He looks really cool.
He
I
went
love
to
their
the G
picks.
League.
Yeah,
He actually went to the
that's
G League.
it. I love their picks recently too.
I wanted to give my thoughts on the Zion one real quick.
Yeah.
So, I think that there was no way that they ever were able to get rid of him. I think when you trade your star player in Anthony Davis, and that year, whether it was luck, whether it was rigged, I'm not sure. I'm not one for conspiracies, except for when the Knicks got Patrick Ewing, that was rigged.
That was definitely rigged.
But I'm not one for conspiracies. So when you trade your star player, your franchise's star player in Anthony Davis to the Lakers, and that year you win the lottery and are able to get maybe the most hyped prospect since Anthony Davis, and you're able to get him onto your team with his potential and with his I guess the way he's able to sell tickets and sell seats and sell jerseys.
And he's a good kid too, to be honest.
And he has the potential to be an MVP one day. There's absolutely no way that you can risk losing that and risk all of that and not re-sign him to any contract that would have kept him in New Orleans. I think it was out of I think it's David Griffin, that's their GM. I think it was out of his hands, and that it was inevitable for Zion to sign that extension, even though there was rumblings of him wanting to leave and rumblings of his family. I think he had to stay. There was no other way for things to go down. But
before we can move on to the next guy, I just want to ask you guys what you think the ceiling is for the Pelicans. I think they might contend, if anything, especially with the healthy Zion back. They're a good team. But I just want to ask you guys, All right.
Yeah, I agree, so I think they could contend for a title. As long as like the core stays healthy and they just like develop that chemistry. Because like CJ and Brandon Ingram last year, like against the Suns, like they went off. And Herbert Jones too, also like he's a good young star.
Future D-boy. Future
D-boy
for sure. All right.
So if I can add on to that, I want to say that adding Dyson Daniels, when I saw him get drafted on draft night, I have a tweet that goes out that said they just replaced Lonzo Ball. I think that draft, I guess, selection is going to be a pivotal part of them becoming the team that they want to be. Now they have the point guard that they want to commit to for the future, in my opinion. They signed Devontae Graham to a big deal. I think they begin to regret that now because of being able to get Dyson Daniels, because of being able to get CJ McCollum, and now he's no longer a necessary point on that team.
He got a DUI too today.
Tradable his contract is.
He's in big trouble right now. Like big trouble. He got a
DUI.
He got a DUI. Yeah, like, but I love that player comp, by the way. But we can move on to the next player. But I love that player comparison.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I believe another player from their same exact draft, Darius Garland, might have been in their same draft, correct?
Yeah. No. Yeah. He is.
Yeah. Another player from the draft, Darius Garland, point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, signed a 5-year, $190 million max rookie extension with them as well. How do you both feel about Cleveland committing to Garland as their future point guard?
I like this. Yeah, I'll go first. I like this personally because like I feel like they're trying to keep this young core, Garland, Mobley, and Allen together, which I really like. And if they keep that young core together, maybe they could do I say they could do up par what Love, James, and Kyrie did. Because Garland right now is like he's a special young talent. I really like that he can space the floor and also like play make too. And I feel like he's making the whole team better alongside like with his playmaking skills.
I agree. Would you like to add on?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of my favorite players in the league currently right now. I just want to say the jump that he took from his rookie season, he was shooting an inefficient clip, only about 40%. He was shooting. I mean, he's always been a good 3-point shooter, but he went from attempting only like about 3 threes a game and only hitting 1, which is about 30%. I mean, to the next year, averaging 17 and then shooting about 6 3-pointers and then hitting 3. So I mean, he's shooting nearly 50% from threes, about 47, 48%. And honestly, I'm in love with his game. I would like to see him bring Sexton back, but I heard, while we were in that same call, they were talking about Sexton Ayton, and they said that the Cavs won't bring Sexton back because they don't want to match any single contract that's over 10 or 11 million, just because they want to extend the qualifying offer, and if he doesn't accept that, they'll let him walk. Which, as much as I like their tandem, and I saw them torture the Clippers earlier in the season, I'm excited to see Garland finally have the keys and Cleveland finally fully trusting him, offering him that max. And I just literally can't wait because they picked Oshay Agbaji. I don't know how to say his name.
Oshay Agbaji.
Agbaji. I like him. I think Isaac Okoro is gone within the next 2 years.
Oh wow.
I think he's a great defender, but he provides zero on offense. He was not good on offense last year. As far as Agbaji, I don't know how to say his name. I think he's very athletic. I think he'll pair very well with every single guy on that team. I love that Cleveland team. I think within 2 years they're going to be contending. I'm not one of those guys that says LeBron's going to go back or anything. No. I just want to say that if Garland can stay healthy, if Garland can stay healthy and play more like this year, he played 68 games this year, which the years before he only played like about 50. And if he can stay healthy and play about 70 games a year, there's no chance he's not in the conversation as a top 5 point guard within the next 2-3 years. So I'm really excited for him.
I want to say I'm very, very excited for him because I remember in his rookie year, there was articles on ESPN, Bleacher Report going everywhere saying Darius Garland is the worst player in the NBA. I just want to say I, for one, never agreed with that. I never thought he was good. Obviously, in his rookie year, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
But he wasn't worst player in the NBA talk. So I think that's one of the things where it's like recency bias, where it's like we're watching what we have right now, not thinking of potential of what he could be. Mm-hmm. He was drafted pretty early. He was a lottery pick, so
7 or 4. 7 or 4, I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure he was 7.
I know. I think I don't know. Whatever.
I was thinking between 7 and 8, but I think it might have been Colin Sexton that was 8.
Yeah.
But that's beyond the point. So I never agree with that. Obviously, it takes point guards a little bit to get into the league. It took Steph a while because of injuries. It took Darius Garland a while because he was just trying to figure it out. Plus, the team sucked. So that's that. And if Isaac Okoro does leave, like you said, I think a place that would be really nice for him that I could see him fitting like okay and figuring it out would be another team that we talked about earlier, Memphis. I'd actually want to see how they would be able to use Isaac Okoro. I feel like that'd be nice. Like,
it's not realistic. It's not realistic because he's a top 10 draft pick. But I'm just saying, I don't see him having a future in the next 2 years just because I feel like they're going to get more and more draft picks because I think they have quite good draft capital, and they're also very good at drafting players and prospects. They've evaluated some insane prospects. Colin Sexton was great. He's just got hurt. That's the main thing. Yeah. We don't know if we're going to trust him. There's Garland, obviously, and Evan Mobley. Kamal, if you want to go real quick.
I think when they trade the cash trade for Karis LeVert, I think that's when they they said.
They have Karis LeVert.
I think that Karis.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
They're good, dude. Wow.
Yeah. That Karis LeVert trade, I feel like that's why I don't think they're gonna keep Sexton because they already have that LeVert, and plus LeVert and Jared Allen already have chemistry from the Brooklyn days.
They're good, man. They're really good.
Yeah. Another reason not to keep Sexton is remember they signed Ricky Rubio to a 3-year contract this summer.
They're guard loaded for sure.
Yeah, and I'm hearing rumblings of Colin Sexton to Dallas to take over Jalen Brunson's role, which I
like
really,
that. I
love it. Another second scoring option to Luka Doncic just sounds like perfect.
And I like the way Dallas is going really small, and they're getting a lot of guards to pair with big men. I like how they don't really – and they have nice holes. I just think – we'll get into it later, but I think Dallas is also, again, another piece away. If you want to move on to the next player, though, we could talk about –
So now we could talk about the 2015 draft class getting their second extensions. We could start off with KarlAnthony Towns, who signed a 5-year in the $200 million range to stay with the Minnesota Timberwolves once again. Remember, the Minnesota Timberwolves also added Rudy Gobert to make it Twin Towers. How do we feel about this contract to keep KarlAnthony Towns in Minnesota? We can start with him out.
Damn it.
It's Sally Fungo. You can go.
Can I please start?
Yeah.
So I like Cat's offensive game, but if you know me, I value defense. Like it's probably more valuable than offense. Honestly, I like defensive guys. At the same time, to me, Cat is so good on offense, and how abysmal he is as a big on defense. I like the fact that Bear can be there, kind of max that. At the same time, when you're against teams like the Clippers and the Warriors, who have
Terrence
probably
Mann.
yes, sir. Who probably have the best spacing in the league, and also Terrence Mann put Gobert in a torture chamber. 36 points on the defensive player, 3-time defensive player of the year.
39.
Whatever. Listen, all I'm saying is I have doubts about this team. There's one guy I don't have. There's two guys I don't have doubts about, or one guy I don't have doubts about. Excuse me, and that's Anthony Edwards.
Yes,
that
sir.
man is going to be a stud.
Yes,
I like Cat a lot. It's not that I don't like Cat. I think he's a really good person. First of all, and second of all, I think he's a really good player. It's just defensive ability, and also and I know we'll touch on this because I've been talking about how Chet has improved in this, especially during the draft process. But he bites on every single pump fake in the game. He has the worst post defense I've seen out of a big since like Anderson Varejao. Like I swear he could not play the post defense, and let alone he's a liability on the perimeter. He's an okay shot blocker, but when you're 7 foot, I mean, who isn't? When you're talking about Gobert, I guess people see the fact that they're twin towers, but in reality, I don't know if that's going to change anything because they already played Nas Reed and Cat together. Plus, you already have Cat, where most of his game is surrounded around driving to the paint. But what bothers me about Cat is he doesn't use his body in the post. And I hate that, especially when you're watching that Clippers game. Everything started outside of the perimeter. Why are you posting up Reggie Jackson at the three-point line? I don't understand that. I like Cat a lot, but he needs to improve his game sense and his game IQ. And he really needs to improve that defense just so he can stay relevant for longer. His health is also another big concern. I don't have a problem with them giving him the money. It's more for the fact that I'm just worried that with Cat, you can't really contend with him being your best player.
For sure.
Yeah.
No?
I agree with that. Like his defense is like terrible.
It's
I feel
abysmal.
but his offense is really good. He could basically like stretch the floor if he wanted to. That's why I feel like they got Rudy Gobert so they can have Cat stretch the floor more and have Rudy Gobert be in the paint. But as for the defense wise, I don't like that Minnesota got rid of Patrick Beverly because now this makes the defense much worse. Even though they got the defense player of the year, Rudy Gobert. But,
zero perimeter defense. Sorry to cut you off, but it's like the Jazz. It's all interior defense. Absolutely no wing defenders besides Jaden McDaniels. But go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's like Cat and Rudy, like they can like guard like someone like mid-range and in the paint. But like when it comes to like outside the perimeter, it's gonna look terrible, bro. When you see watching the Timberwolves play, like the small ball teams like the Clippers and Warriors, like you're talking about, they're just gonna like run through them easily, unless they find like more pieces or like get more pieces, like like to counter that. But it's gonna be pretty interesting season in Minnesota to say the least.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on the contract would be, obviously Minnesota is doing where they want to build their team around Anthony Edwards and KarlAnthony Towns. Those are their core pieces. That's who they want to build around. They brought Rudy Gobert in order to be able to move KarlAnthony Towns to power forward because they realized that him as a center, he gets bodied. The man gets bodied, like plain and simple. And so I think they want to move him to power forward. Now, defensively, it's going to look very interesting with Cat at power forward. I don't know if he could keep up with modern-day power forwards. Offensively, I really like KarlAnthony Towns at power forward. but I feel like the defense might overdo the offense to the point where the trade is going to look weird. Minnesota's going to look weird. I do like the contract because KarlAnthony Towns is a top 5 center in the league, easy. Top 3 center in the league, 99% of the time. And so I like the contract for he's a superstar like KarlAnthony Towns, who's still young and still has the team on his back to pair along with Anthony Edwards. KarlAnthony Towns is a multiple-time All-Star. And so I think the contract is okay. And if things don't end up working out in Minnesota, you can always trade the contract. And with KarlAnthony Towns' value, you can always get something very valuable for KarlAnthony Towns. But since they did trade for Rudy Gobert, I see them keeping Towns, and I see them trying to make this work. And if this doesn't work, maybe they trade Gobert again. I'm not sure with all the first-round picks they
maybe D'Angelo.
Yeah, I think D'Lo might be gone by this offseason, in my opinion.
You think so?
I think it's a possibility because I don't like D'Lo on that team. I feel like he's a shot chucker.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't.
They need a facilitator. They needed Chris Paul. Chris Paul would be absolutely insane on that team.
100%. Because I feel like he's taking away from what Anthony Edwards could be. Because all of the shots that D'Lo takes should be Anthony Edwards shots.
Absolutely.
I think Anthony Edwards has MVP potential. I see him as top of the top.
Yep.
But with that said, another guy who got a max contract extension from the 2015 draft class made it to the finals last year, is a consensus, I would say, top 3 shooting guard in the league, and the latest cover of NBA 2K23.
The most ass cover ever.
Hey, that cover is very interesting.
I like the cover athlete. Don't like the art on it. It's so bad.
So,
but, yeah.
With that said, Devin Booker signs a 5-year, $200 million plus extension with the Phoenix Suns to stay there. I want both of your opinions on how you feel about that.
I'll go first. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like that extension a lot, mainly because Devin Booker has shown like his potential, like what he could do if he has like he's a star. I feel like Phoenix, they just need to build like a better team around Booker. Like that last year, it was like they got kind of lucky. Let's be real. They went against like 3 injured teams, and once they finally versus the Bucks. Yeah, but
hey, wait. Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah, go.
I just want to make sure that all of you agree that if AD was healthy, we're beating that team, correct?
No, you guys were.
100%. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not
that's all I wanted. Thank you. All right, Hamel, you can continue. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I like he deserves the max extension. But I feel like Phoenix needs to do more than that, because like I heard like DeAndre Ayton's gonna be gone, so they better get like somebody good, like a good like bench player or something, or maybe even like Kevin Durant. That's what they need. They're just missing that one piece, like what Sam says, like Dallas, Luka, and like Memphis.
I agree.
All right. So consensus top 3 shooting guard. Absolutely, I agree with that. My shooting guard list would probably be Paul George. I just think he's the most complete out of any shooting guard.
Well, and you're a Clipper fan, so you have to say that.
No, it's not even that. I think that people are underrating his ability to do everything on the floor. He could do everything, and he's elite at pretty much every single trait you could ask for,
100.
other than leadership, which I can get behind. And even then, he's good. He's a good team player. What my argument between what I just don't know who's better is between Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker. And the only reason I say this is that Donovan Mitchell probably for the last 3 years has had the worst supporting cast, or last 2 years, a worse supporting cast than Devin Booker. I don't think it's even close.
Yeah.
And he led the team to the 1 seed the year prior, and then obviously the Suns were the number 2 seed. This year we saw a Donovan Mitchell that wasn't as aggressive. You could tell that ankle bothered him a lot. And so that's the only reason I see a lot of people putting Devin Booker over Donovan Mitchell on their list. And I could get behind that. I think as of right now, Donovan Mitchell is slightly the better player. But I just feel like Donovan Mitchell, when you look at what he's done in the NBA, you just start to notice that he's been the number 1 option his whole career, while Devin Booker has been the number 1 option. He just made his first playoffs about 2 years ago. And I mean, he made the finals.
Yeah.
But you know, with the Jazz, it's just a tricky situation where I think they should just trade him to like New York or Miami, somewhere he could actually prosper, rather than just let him rot with those picks. And they can't trade for anybody. There's nobody on the trading block right now. So in terms of Devin Booker's contract, I know I sidetracked a little bit just comparing the two. I like it a lot. I view him as a top 15 player in the NBA. I for sure and you could definitely put him in that 10 to 13 range. I think anywhere in that range is fine. I think he's slightly less than he's slightly less of a player than like Jason Tatum is as of right now. He's not in that echelon of players, top 9, top 8 players in the NBA yet. But what we really noticed last year is the jump you take, especially when Donovan Mitchell lost in the first round to the Mavericks, and then when Devin Booker lost in the second round to the Mavericks in an embarrassing fashion both ways. When you really look at like the jump you take from a player like Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker, great all-star, all-NBA type players, to Luka, one of the best players we've seen since a guy like LeBron James. You know what I mean? That you could tell when somebody's that special and that good at the game that he could take a team with like solid players and lift them over teams that just made the finals and were the 1 seed a year prior, and even that year were the 1 seed. So do I like the contract? Of course. Suns are a small market. They're not going to get a player like that in the free agency pool unless they're contending or unless they have a Chris Paul on that team and LeBron James, let's say, wants to join them, which is so unlikely. So when you look at the contract, it's fine. Player that Devin Booker is, he's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable scorer. We've seen him take a jump as a playmaker, as a defender as well. He's improved. I like the contract. I think Phoenix will be better moving forward. I do think they're going to lose DeAndre Ayton. I think he played his last game as a Sun, which is going to hurt them because I thought it was talking about it earlier. Sorry for taking all your sources. And I heard this in a conference call. They said DeAndre Ayton wants out. He's disgruntled. He might go to Indiana in a sign-in trade. People were speculating today, which is very unlikely. But
were they?
No. A lot of people were speculating.
No, I'm just playing because you're taking all the stuff I was gonna say.
I'm sorry, man. As far as efficiency-wise, Devin Booker is as efficient as you could get. He can improve his 3-point shot. That's somewhere I want to see him improve. Because during the playoffs this year and last year, he only shot about a 29% clip total, which is not where you want to see Devin Booker at. But he's a great player and he deserves the contract.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back on I want to go back on what you said about Donovan, about how you said that. Oh, actually,
what's up? Wait, what's up? All right. Do you want me to come out? First of all, I want to ask you, where do you think DeAndre Ayton should go, first of all?
I feel like there's like 2 teams that I feel like, even though he might not want to go there, but I feel like they have a chance to go get him. Brooklyn and Indiana. Because I feel like the Suns will most likely trade it to Indiana because I don't feel like Kevin Durant's going to leave Brooklyn. We talked about that. Because I feel like he's going to go Indiana because like they can get more from Indiana and to make their team even better. Like, for example, they could get Miles Turner, Buddy Hield out of Indiana just for DeAndre. Oh, if they yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if they'll offer all that. Maybe they would. What I was thinking was, obviously Indiana is probably the most likely place where I would want to see him go and try to prove himself is Utah. I think that would be perfect. I think that a more dynamic center, somebody that's more athletic, somebody that's more has more of a dog in him than Rudy Gobert does. I don't think Rudy Gobert has a dog in him. I also think that he's above average. He's definitely above average rim protector, and he's definitely more mobile on the perimeter for sure. He could stick with some guards. He was not bad at all. DeAndre Ayton would be great in Utah. I think him and Donovan Mitchell. He's definitely more of a jump shooter too than Gobert was by far. Obviously, you're not getting the same level of rim protection, but what you're getting is somebody that's going to be your cornerstone center for a lot longer than Gobert probably was, because he's only about 22 years old. I think the sky's a limit for DeAndre Ayton as far as like people are underrating the hell out of him, just because I mean, he was still probably their second best player he was still probably Phoenix's second best player, even with CP there. Obviously, people still rate CP as a top 20 player in the NBA. I don't know if he's at that stage in his career anymore. I think you could probably DeAndre Ayton's probably better than CP right now. But Devin Booker, it's tricky because I'm sure he wants Ayton to stay, but their main priority is KD. And that, let's be honest, it's not going to happen. But we could. But Thought's moving around, I think we could move on. I'm sure he'll join us in a little bit. If you want to move on to the next player,
I really want to.
You want to go? Yeah. No worries.
I have a blind dog who requires a lot of responsibility, and she was thirsty, so I had to go take her to go get water. But now that I'm back, I heard you guys talking about DeAndre Ayton. So you guys were still on the topic of the Phoenix Suns. I did want to go back maybe a few minutes of what you said about Donovan Mitchell. You said Donovan Mitchell looked like he was playing on a hurt ankle and how he wasn't playing as efficient as usual. I did want to add to that and say that Donovan Mitchell was also a disgruntled star. He did not like, per se, playing with Rudy Gobert. And that, I believe the Utah Jazz chose him over Gobert, and they're going to build around him. That's why they traded Gobert. That could also be another reason for why Donovan Mitchell was playing the way he was. As for DeAndre Ayton, I did want to say, I feel like I rate DeAndre Ayton higher than a lot of people. I think
I just said that. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, yeah. I think he has the potential to be an easy 22-12 guy, maybe 24-12 guy. He has that potential. That's why he was drafted first overall out of, I believe he went to Arizona.
Yeah.
That's why he was drafted first overall out of Arizona. And that's why the Suns took a shot at him, because he has the potential to be that guy.
Well, because also he was the best player in college basketball, but also because Luka was overseas, and they're known notoriously for picking European players, so they did not want to touch him. That's
Didn't they take Dragan Bender?
And so that was bad the year prior. So they just a couple years prior, so they just did not want to touch a European player. But sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted to
100%.
interject.
So DeAndre Ayton, I view as a guy who could be 24-12. I believe that he will not be returning to the Phoenix Suns, as reports have said. He's not going back. He wants a max extension. I believe there is a team out there that will give him. I'm not sure if he'll get the max extension he wants, but I'm sure he'll get very, very close to that extension that he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys finished talking about him, or you guys have anything to add.
Yeah, that's it pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I did want to mention before we get into any trades or trade speculation, I did want to bring up this year's rookie class.
Hold on. 1 second. We're forgetting one guy. In the most controversial.
You're right.
We're forgetting the most controversial one. Yeah.
You want to introduce him or me?
I want to talk about him.
Okay, so I'll introduce him. So interestingly enough, we forgot the two-time MVP, the back-to-back MVP.
What? No? Bradley Beal.
Oh my God, I thought you were talking about Jokic.
No, I don't care about Jokic. Everybody thinks he's the second best player in the NBA.
Right. Let's just do that one real quick. So Nikola Jokic also agreed to a 5-year max extension with the Denver Nuggets to stay with the team. He back-to-back MVP. He's great. I believe that we all agree with his extension. I don't think anybody could deny giving a 2-time back-to-back MVP a 5-year contract to keep him on your team. So
all I'm saying is Denver should give the house for KD. That's all I'm saying. They really have the pieces to do it too.
I'm very excited for that Denver team next year. Bringing back Jamal Murray, MPJ, hopefully being
not high on MPJ.
Well, we don't know yet. He's been injured his entire career.
Well, he had one healthy season and he was good, but again, the last 2 years he has not been. So we'll see though.
Sure. Hamal, it looked like you had something to say. Did you want to add on to something?
I was going to say that. Well, it sounds about if Denver should give up the whole house for KD. I feel like
anything but Jokic.
I feel like they shouldn't.
I agree with you.
Because I feel like Maybe they should just trade Porter Jr. or anything. I feel like they should keep Jamal Murray because Jamal Murray has shown that he could be like a star, even better than Jokic at times, like in that bubble.
At time, he was right. He's right. Come on, he's not. There's no way. There's no way now. But at that time,
in the bubble, I agree. But wow,
Jokic was no, because Jokic wasn't a top 10 player at the time, and then you had Murray upstaging him. Yeah,
I agree, but it just sounds wild to hear that someone better than the 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, Bradley Beal. Now.
Bradley Beal, how do we feel? 5 years, $252 million with a no trade clause. The only NBA player in the league with a full no trade clause. Only the 10th player in NBA history to get a full no trade clause and a max extension at $252 million, making him the second biggest contract in NBA history. Adam, you have a lot to say. Let's hear you first, bro.
All right. First of all, $50 million for a guy that leads his team to mediocrity year after year. They've never made it past the second round of the playoffs. I know, don't even get on my Clippers for that. I'm just saying. Listen.
No, y'all made the conference finals, bro. Come on, you did that.
Okay. Listen, as efficient of a player as he can be, and I'm not saying this at all. Last year, he played 40 games. I understand he got hurt. But he shot 45 and 30 from the 45% from the field and 30% from the three, and that's not usually how he plays. He's usually in the high 30s, low 40s from three, and then he's usually in the high 40s. He's a 50-40-90 guy. And if this is a Bradley Beal you're talking to me about 3 years ago when he was made his first All-Star team, he's averaging 30 points, and he was with John Wall and they were making the playoffs. I would say, okay, he's not worth $250 million. First of all, he's worth maybe that Darius Garland deal. Okay, but now that you're telling me 3 years removed, he hasn't played over 50 games. He hasn't played over 60 games since 2018. You're telling me you're going to give him $50 million while your team's struggling in mediocrity, haven't made the playoffs in a couple of years, and you're telling me that this guy is better than about 75 of the greatest players to ever play the game. If you don't include Jokic into the equation, he's the highest paid player. He's the second highest paid player in the NBA. It doesn't make sense to me. He's a great player, but if you're really looking at it, he's only worth around $35 million, 35 to 40 million max. That's his blind dog, by the way. But I just want to say that he's deteriorating. You could clearly see. With his stats, he only averaged about 83% from the field. He's a big liability on defense. I will say his ability to play make has improved, especially with the better players that he got this year. But then the player that they signed last year, which was Spencer Dinwiddie, who he said, "Oh yeah, I'm so excited to run it back with," he got traded. So I don't know what to think about this. Washington is like even probably the most poverty franchise in the league, and not like.
Nah, bro,
they have titles.
Hey, you gotta remember
as
the
of right now.
Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are
as of right now. Listen, I think they have the dullest future out of any team. Their last couple of draft picks, Rui Hachimura barely played. Denny has not been good. I think he'll pick it up. He's been probably one of the most inefficient players in the NBA. Thomas Bryant was one of their bright spots, and he got hurt and he left. And the Lakers have him now. Excuse me. Not much going on for Washington. They have one of the worst defending two guards in the NBA. He's great on offense, but he literally put up 23 points a game last year. This is just not a good deal. He should leave. It sucks. I hate it with all my heart.
With Salim's opinions being out there and very opinionated, Hamal, what are you feeling about this contract for Bradley Beal?
I agree with Salim. Like, he doesn't deserve that. Like, really, $50 million a year for a guy who's
only three-time All-Star. Three-time
All-Star, and I think he led the NBA in scoring like twice. But
he's a scoring champ.
He's a scoring champ. But he's on the scrub team.
He cheated Curry. Sorry to cut you off again, but he cheated Curry, or he cheated Embiid. Excuse me. Whatever that was, man.
He's literally playing for a scrub team. That's why he's scoring that much. Playing with the star, like any other star besides Westbrook, because Westbrook's being like passing first guy. He's not gonna do. He's probably gonna put like average numbers, average star numbers.
20 points. 20 points. That's
20
not
points,
$50 million.
That's not even $50 million. If you talk, and I'm like, this is concerning for me because if Bradley Beal is getting paid that much, imagine how like other players feel. Like they probably will ask more, and that's gonna give more teams have to pay less undeserving players more. This is gonna.
That's what happened. That's what happened. This. I could get paid $1 million, and I'll like, bro, you don't have to pay Bradley Beal 50.
Like these undeserving like players will get paid more, and the market's gonna be like terrible, and then salary cap's gonna go up and up and up. Like this is what I don't like about like these type of deals personally. Like it really concerns me about like the future of the NBA. Like
I think sorry to
ahead.
cut you off. I think I'm so sorry to cut everybody off, but I'm so passionate about this because I hate this deal. The only fix to the supermax problem and giving players like Bradley Beal a supermax is you have to have a minimum requirement of at least 5 All NBA teams.
Whoa!
Because I don't think
I agree.
no for Darius Garland to get a supermax under $200 million, I think that's fine because he's only made an All-Star team. I think that's fine. I think there should be certain requirements and thresholds you should reach. Jokic is a 2-time MVP. He deserves $260 million. Bradley Beal has not done anything, but he didn't even win Rookie of the Year. He was all rookie team. He made one All NBA team. It was the 3rd team. That required if you give him $197 million, I wouldn't get mad with that. There should only be about 10 to 12 players in the NBA that deserve a supermax. That's it. There should be a requirement amount of players that deserve a supermax.
So, since you guys both took a very negative connotation towards the contract, I'm gonna try to lean towards more of a positive side. I do agree that $50 million for Bradley Beal is a lot of money. I believe it was also a loyalty contract where it was, you're here, we can't really get much in DC, so we're gonna keep you and see what you can do with Porzingis, maybe see what happens. Porzingis and Beal both have shown that they are very injury prone in the last few years, and we don't know what to expect from them, along with Roy Hachimura, who's missed a lot of time, and Denny Avila, who's missed a lot of time. They traded KCP for point guards in both Monte Morris and
Will Barton.
Which I do like their team. They were missing point guards. They haven't had a real point guard who can run the offense since John Wall. I believe they're both good additions for KCP, who really had no need on that. He was
good though.
He was good, but there was no need for him on the team. KCP is what they want Denny Avila to take over, and they want him to take over that role and be that guy. Now, for Bradley Beal, I'm very happy for him to be able to secure generational wealth.
That's true.
And be able to keep his family. Securing that no trade clause means that he's able to keep his family in Washington, D.C. and be able to – they can't get him out of there. If he wants to raise his family in Washington, he's able to do that without anybody messing that up for him. Whatever he wants to do, he's stuck in – well, he's not necessarily stuck in D.C. because if he were to request a trade, they would have to grant that trade request because of, I guess, loyalty and what he's done for the organization. I think the contract in a basketball standpoint is a big overpay, but I'm happy for Bradley Beal. I'm good for him.
Disclaimer: I'm happy for him too. I just think it's too much. Disclaimer: I like Bradley Beal. He's funny. He's actually very funny.
Yeah.
But like, come on, man. That's $50 million.
Bradley Beal's a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that no trade clause is gonna hurt Washington a lot. It's gonna hurt them.
Yeah, because they can't just trade him anymore. They have to pick where they want to trade him.
They're basically gonna have his cap. They're basically gonna have his cap, and they have to build around him. And if they need to, as he gets older, and when they want to like bring in more guys or new guys, it's gonna basically hurt their whole future. Yeah, they can. It's gonna hurt them.
They literally can't. They can't pick up anybody.
One thing I would say is it feels like his whole career in Washington has had a no trade clause to it. Now that the contract has it written there, it's like it's a thing to fans where we can all see it. But I feel like his whole career in Washington, we've been saying trade Bradley Beal, get him to it. But both him and the organization never wanted to split up. So it felt like there was always a no trade clause, but now that it's actually there, it's a little like concerning in a way. But he gets to stay in Washington and raise his family where he's comfortable, which is good for him. Are we finished with the subject?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now, with that said, we can officially go on to this year's rookies before we get into trades. So, sorry. I wanted to get your guys' opinions on the first two Summer League games of Chet Holmgren with OKC. Whoever wants to take over.
You can go first.
No, this is you, Hamal. You got it.
For sure. I watched only his first Summer League game, not the second one. But I like how the flash he has shown. Him with Josh Giddey, like I see them as like a good dynamic duo for the future, along with Shea. But if Chet has a Giannis transformation, he's gonna be scary for the league. And I feel, but if he doesn't develop that Giannis transformation, I feel like he's just like another Kevin Durant if he fulfills his potential.
I mess with that. Honestly, I think that he's really good, right? But it's gonna take some time. He's more of a project. I like the fit with guys like Shea and Josh Giddey. I think two playmakers that can feed him the ball. He's not really gonna. What I saw is that he improved tremendously on the defensive side, because he's a good shot ball. He's an elite shot blocker. That's one of the things that people are praising on him. It's more of his on-ball defense that I was really concerned with. Obviously, he's one of the more mobile centers, but at the same time, he's really bad at setting his feet on defense, and he shuffles his feet a lot, and like his footwork on defense is absolutely abysmal. His post defense definitely needs some work. He needs to put on some weight. We all know that. What I saw a lot was that he wasn't biting on fakes as much as he was in that last Gonzaga game. I forgot who they lost to, but I remember noticing he was biting on every single fake, and he was just getting beat the whole time. And I think he only had about a block in that game when he averages about 2-3. It was sad seeing that and like knowing that he has this defensive potential. But when I was watching that game, he was staying steady. He wasn't biting on fakes. He was he was getting a lot of deflections. He has the most blocks in Summer League history now in a single game, 6 blocks. I really like because obviously we know what we're going to get on the offensive side. It's more of the intangibles, and then what we're going to get really on the defensive side is hustle, which again plays into intangibles. So I'm really excited for him. I like the fit, first of all. I like everything about his game. It's just I just need to see him in the weight room, because he got bullied by Kenny Lofton, who I don't love that much, honestly. I don't think he's going to be that good. I don't know. Everybody's overreacting, but it's just that he's strong. That's it. I mean, he'll be okay. He'll be a productive NBA player, but he's not going to be dropping that on Cade once he gets big. I'm happy for Cade. I think he's going to do well. I'm excited to see his handles improve, because I know that will come with time. We didn't see KD really get that flashy until about his 4th, 5th year in the NBA. And that's when he started, gaining that MVP movement. So yeah, I like Chet a lot. I think right now he's probably my second best player in this class.
So one thing I really liked about Chet that was outside of basketball, but also in basketball, is his cockiness. I really, really I love cocky players. I think it adds so much to the game. And to a point, being cocky takes some guys' games to just another level. When they have that much belief in themselves, it just shows that they know what work they've put in, and they know their potential, and they know what they could become. At the end of the game, when the reporter, I forgot who she was, but she said, you have 6 blocks, the new Summer League record. He looks at her and he goes, "That's the record? I'll beat that tomorrow." I was like, oh, okay, he has that in him. I like that, because he's going to push himself to become better. If you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. So just saying things, being cocky, being annoying, getting in everybody's heads is just a plus to being fun and being good. And adding Chet to OKC's beautiful, one of my favorite teams, young core, it fits. I saw some guy on Twitter who was calling a duo of Josh Giddey and Chet Holmgren Chetmate. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Dying.
That is funny. That is funny.
So a lineup of like Shea, Trey Mann, Giddey, and I don't know who's there for Usman Dieng and and Chet Holmgren sounds like a lineup that 2-3 years into the future we're gonna fear. We're gonna be scared.
And they have depth. And they have depth. They got Lou Dort. They got Trey Mann. They got nice guys, bro.
I think one thing that I would like to see out of OKC is I'd like to start seeing them cash in on some of what they have. There gets to a point where you have too much depth, where you have too much young potential. You can't play them anymore.
And you have to drop Isaiah Roby, who's great, by the way.
We dropped Isaiah Roby. He went to the Spurs. I really, really wanted him on my Lakers. Which I don't know why he went to the Spurs. It's just a whole weird fit. I don't agree with it. But now I'm not sure what's going to happen with Jakob Poeltl. That's a name that could fly in the trade market soon.
Clips.
Said Morris where you wanted to go first place.
Morris for McDermott and Poeltl.
You'd want
deal. Done deal.
Doug McDermott's contract?
I understand he's expiring after this year.
I don't like it.
If it's the salary, I think that's why.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah,
I do. I really like Chet's potential. I think I had a tweet at the end of Chet's first game that said, "Is Chet Holmgren what we think Victor Wembanyama is going to be?" And I honestly don't know because he showed that he could do everything on the court, and that's what we think.
Same exact players, just different countries.
They have the same build,
and he's a little taller. Victor's a little taller. He's 7'3", I think.
The same build, and I feel like is the EuroLeague and college and some.
Yeah,
we don't know. I think Victor Wembanyama is obviously going to be insane. We've seen what he had. We know the skill set that he possesses. I think Chet Holmgren could be just as good. He possesses the same skill set. It just who's gonna have the ability to take that.
It's just intangibles with him. We don't know how big he's gonna get. We just don't know. That's his main thing. And when you're talking about Wembanyama compared to him, he's about 2 inches taller. He's also about 20 pounds. He has about 20 pounds on him, and it doesn't look like that. Wembanyama.
Yeah,
he's about 7'3".
I'm a 7'3".
7'2", 7'3", I think. Yeah, and he's about 20 pounds on him. So when you're really taking that in consideration, he's a lot bigger than Chet. So that's why he's more of a sure thing than Victor. But Thotic's not here right now. I'll introduce the next topic. We're talking about Jabari Smith, and we're also talking about
Paolo Banchero.
Paolo Banchero.
They played their first summer league games today,
and I think it's going to start within an hour. So, so you might see this after, but it's all right. We're going to work on trying to get it out tonight. If not tomorrow morning, best case tomorrow is best case scenario. But
yes, sir.
Thotic, I'll let you start on this one. I'll let you start on this one because I know that this is more of your expertise. I like Chet. I'm more into Chet more than I am in the other guys because I think those are more sure prospects. Chet, I was studying more, but I want to get your opinion on who you think is just going to be better in their career.
So this one I want to try to zoom through. One thing I do want to say is I love the fit of both players on both teams. I think Jabari Smith Jr., even though he did fall, I think he's going to be blessed that he fell. I think his role in OKC, in Houston, is so much better than it would have been in Orlando because Orlando is so filled with potential of players and young stars. I think Jabari Smith Jr. has the ability to be a 25-point per game scorer in the NBA, maybe a 25, 7, and 5 guy. I think he has the potential to be a multiple-time All-Star. I loved him coming out of Auburn. I had him as my number one pick. I'm not going to lie. But I was not shocked when I saw Paolo Banchero go number one. I think Paolo Banchero is the clear-cut, most NBA-ready guy in the draft. He has the NBA body. He has the NBA skill set. One thing that does scare me about Paolo, though, is we saw and we said the same exact things out of Marvin Bagley when he came out of Duke, and he went number 2. So I know there's not much between, like, that similarity between them, but it scares me that maybe Coach K is making these guys look better than they are. I, for one, think Paolo Banchero will be really, really good in the league. I think he's like a mix of Blake Griffin and some other stuff. I love the skill set that he has. I think he just needs to find a role. He needs to find a way to take over Orlando and make it his team. They have way too many young pieces in KarlAnthony, RJ Hampton, Mo Bamba, all these players. They got to get that one guy and start cashing.
Franz, too, and Jonathan Isaac. Franz and Jonathan
Isaac.
And I will say one thing. I thought, sorry, Hamal, I'll give it to you right after this. I want to say that I think that Jonathan Isaac's out the door this year. He casted out his teammates. I'm pretty sure there was a report that he didn't speak to his teammates for a couple of months after the bubble. He's been really distant with the Magic front office, especially while rehab. He hasn't played in a little bit in a while, so I don't think he commands that much trade value. I think they have too many forwards, man, and they have so much talent at that 4 and that center position. And I think they have a bright future, but I think you have to give the keys to Banchero. I also think you have to make KarlAnthony more of a spot-up shooter, and then Suggs the facilitator, because I don't think KarlAnthony. Because the only reason is that KarlAnthony is not my favorite facilitator, and I think not a spot-up shooter, but more say he's more of an on-ball playmaker like Ty Washington was this year. I don't know if you watched any games of his, but he was like, I think KarlAnthony, him like in college-wise, just watching them, I think they're absolutely identical. So, but Paolo to me is my favorite prospect. I don't love his fit though. And I don't like any of their fits besides Chet's. I think I really like Chet's. Jabari's, I don't know. I really don't like him as a second option. I feel like he's a ball dominant player, but at the same time, this is his first time with Josh Christopher with good point guard play. Because if you watched anything of Auburn, he really didn't have a good point guard with him. It was really poor point guard play. He was trying to make every single one of his shots. I will say also that I studied a lot of film on him, especially because he was the one I knew about the least, right? I didn't really watch Auburn's in SEC, they're in the SEC. We didn't really see a bunch of the games on the West Coast. It wasn't really nationally televised as much here as advertised. He's good. He's so good. I think that he does what Paolo does, but worse. I think he's a better defender, but that only goes so far because I think Paolo's a good on-ball defender, but I don't think Jabari is. But I think he's a great rim protector, while Paolo's below average on that aspect. But I guess he's a little smaller, or a little shorter. Jabari is also, to me, it's like he's either going to be – I think all these guys have similarities. So, Jabari Smith and not Chet, Paolo, both have similarities to me. I don't know why I see it so much. Jason Tatum without the handles. I don't know why I see it so like Tobias Harris, like somebody that like the slimmer Tobias Harris to me. I think Paulo's probably going to be the better player just because I feel like he's a better facilitator too. The amount of facilitating he had to do at Duke during that Final Four run, I thought it was great. I think Paulo's a better player. I don't love Jabari's fit with Jalen Green. I think he's going to lose a lot of shots. I'll say he averaged like 8 points, 6 rebounds. I think Paolo might average like closer to 20s, and I think Chet's going to average in this 15 to 16 range. So I think it's going to go Paolo number 1, Chet number 2, and then Jabari number 3. I think Jaden Ivey might be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, to like add on what Tom said, I personally think Paolo is gonna be the better player just because like he has like potential. I see more like talent in him. But I feel like Jabari is the better fit in the team as of right now because he's playing alongside like KPJ, Jalen Green, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jay Sean.
He requested a trade.
Huh?
Kenyon Martin requested a trade.
Oh, you requested?
Really?
Yeah, he requested it like a month ago.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Sorry to cut you off, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, but he's playing alongside like KPJ, Jalen Green. I feel like that big three just alone has the potential to be a big three. Yeah, they have potential. And plus he's just a better fit there than Paolo and Orlando. 'Cause Orlando is just like a mess right now. They don't know like what they're doing. Or Houston, they have at least a plan. And if the plan doesn't work, then they could do something else with it.
Then they have all of Brooklyn's draft picks.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, like I haven't really watched like
guys.
see like I was saying, like KPJ, Jalen Green, and what's Jabari Smith, right? Even though I haven't watched Jabari and Paolo play, I feel like Jabari is just a better fit overall at that team. And like I said, I'm trying to say, like KPJ, if I don't know if he's like more facilitator or like shooter, because he can be both sometimes.
Yeah.
Jalen Green's more like a slasher. And
so, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So with KPJ, they were obviously experimenting with him at the point guard last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I like that to say. How do you feel about KPJ running point guard, facilitating towards Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr.?
I feel like they're gonna try that at first, and if it doesn't work, I feel like they're just gonna make Jabari the main facilitator, and maybe try run the offense through him. Because we saw last year, like Jalen Green, he tried, but like he had like flashes of doing well, but like I feel like Jalen Green just needs like a good facilitator in order for him to play well. Same with KPJ. I feel like KPJ is like more a spot up shooter, or like a ball dominant person. I don't feel like he can make plays, but if he develops that, I feel like that Houston team is gonna be really good.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We saw flashes of that in his final games with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe he had 50 with that. It was either them or Houston. He had like a 50-point game. I remember that, and that went viral.
I'm sad that Cleveland let him go, though.
What happened?
I'm sad that Cleveland let him go.
Cleveland let him go. I feel like things just weren't going good for him and his mental health over there.
Yeah.
He just had to change scenery.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's with Jalen Green and Jabari Smith. They're an athletic team now.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have they have Tari Eason as they have him as defense. They have Tari Eason as defense. They have who'd they get? I'm really high. I'm way higher on Josh Christopher than a lot of people are. I think Josh Christopher has potential that needs to be unlocked where he can like take a step that could shock a lot of people. I think he still has that in him. Coming out of high school, he was projected to go a lot higher than he did. I think he struggled a little bit in college. I'm not sure if I'm getting it mixed up.
He went to Harvard Westlake too. He went, or not Harvard Westlake, but I know he went to school around us.
Yeah. So I'm very high on Josh Christopher. I think he has a big step to take into being a main piece of that Houston lineup, that Houston core.
Or maybe Ty Washington too.
Love Ty.
Did he get drafted?
Did they pick him?
Yeah, they picked him.
Swear?
Oh, I
like that a lot.
Hey,
I like that a lot.
You know what?
I think roster
put Ty at point guard and move KPJ. KPJ is not a point guard.
I don't love KPJ at all. I don't think I really don't see like him being an all-star jump. But what I will say is that I like Josh Christopher being that spark plug off the bench, just to combat and be a little bit of I don't want to say a worse version, but a lesser version of Jalen Green, because they virtually do the same thing.
He's a Michael.
Jalen Green's more athletic. Yeah, exactly. I really like their team. It's just I don't know how Jabari is gonna fit taking less shots, because he's probably gonna be the second or third option on that team. You could say second option depending on how they run the system, but I think we should move on to the.
I want to wait before we move on.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to bring up one more thing. Yeah. So we got to remember they brought in Jabari Smith as the third pick. They just brought in Jalen Green as the second pick. We don't exactly know what's going on through the brain of the to the front office of the Houston Rockets right now.
They're hoping Brooklyn sucks. They're hoping Brooklyn sucks.
Well, yeah, they hope Brooklyn trades KD and Kyrie tomorrow for like.
Yeah.
We don't know. But they could end up running things through Jabari Smith, and maybe they could end up putting Jalen Green as I don't know. I really think Jalen Green has that potential to be a 30-point scorer in the NBA. I have no idea he's like that. He showed that at the end of the season. But, yeah, we don't know what's going on. They just took Jabari at 3. That's very high to make him like a second option or a third option. He's either the first or the second option. It's not even close.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, so moving on, I wanted to get your guys' opinions on some big trades that just went down.
Are we grading them? Like, are we going to do?
We can grade them. We'll go F to A+, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start off with one of the lighter ones that just went through. Jeremy Grant got traded from the Detroit Pistons to the Portland Trailblazers. Hamel, I want you to start and give me a grade and why you gave that grade for both teams.
I'll give a solid A for Detroit just because they got rid of cap space and that's what they needed. And plus, with their draft picks of Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duran, I feel like they needed to get rid of Jeremy Grant to develop those players more. And then Portland, I don't know what they're doing. I give them like a C because they got a solid like role player in Jeremy Grant, but they need a second guy to pair with Dame.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I don't know what they're doing exactly because they have potential to get KD or anyone they want. They got rid of CJ. Well, I don't know why they did that because they could have got more better than what they got.
Yeah, especially how the current trade market is and how valuable CJ would have been right now. Yeah. I actually really think you're right. They could have got way more than Josh Hart in a first.
And
so I agree. And wait, can I go?
Yeah, go ahead, son.
Sorry, guys. So Jeremy Grant's been good the last 2 years, but definitely not efficient. But when you're really that type of player and you're taking that many shots, it's kind of hard to stay efficient. But he wasn't like inefficient in the sense of like, oh, he shouldn't be taking that many shots. It's just like we knew it wasn't a long-term thing for Detroit where he wasn't going to be their guy. And that's obvious. That was the most obvious thing ever coming out of the gate, that they're tanking and they're making him their best player, which clearly set them up for Cade. And, I like the Cade and Ivy pairing. We just talked about that. Or I don't like it as much as I would have liked somebody else. But, I mean, they didn't have the ability to do that at the 5th pick. So, but we're talking about Portland now. So, as far as Detroit, though, I really like them freeing up Cade and finally committing to him being the first option this year. They were always going to do it, but I like how quickly they did it just so he could finally adapt to, having the ball all the time pretty much. I'll give them a solid B because they got a first-round pick out of Jeremy Grant, which they signed to a really bad deal. And they got rid of that deal. So it's a bad deal, let's be honest. They're paying him about $25 million.
I think for the Pistons it's a bad deal, but for Jeremy Grant, it's not a terrible deal.
No. I'm saying what's it called? For the Pistons at their stage, signing him to a bad deal where they could use that cap elsewhere to sign younger players on the market. I would like to see him get Jalen Smith, but Indiana's scooping him up for the cheap, which I wish we had him, man. He's good. I will say I'll give him a B, but for Portland, I rated the trade a A the first time we were talking about this. I thought it was a good trade. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, you could have used some of those assets mainly the first round pick for KD, and I mean, you could probably trade some of those you could obviously trade Shaedon Sharpe, you could trade a Greg Brown, which you picked last year. Trade Anthony Simons, probably anybody on that team besides Damian Lillard, and you could get KD, and you could try to get KD. So I like the fact that they're keeping Jeremy Grant. They're gonna have him next to Dame. What I don't like is that he's their second guy now, and if they had CJ McCollum, I mean, that team's really good if they have CJ McCollum. I would have liked that a lot more. So I'll probably give him a B. There's no purpose for it for me. I think that they're not really in contention. I think they're another one of those teams that's mediocre. And I think Damian Lillard's not getting any younger. He's not getting any better for sure, speaking on last season. But, I don't know if Thodic's ready to, talk. But I just want to say that I'll give it a B. But, I mean, Portland needs to do some work for sure.
So –
wow.
My phone is tripping. I'm sorry, bro. My family me. I wanted to rate the trade real quick. Look at this. It won't turn off. I wanted to rate the trade real quick. For the Detroit Pistons, I like this trade. They used the pick that they got in Jeremy Grant to get Jalen Duren. They traded that exact pick they got from Jeremy Grant to get Jalen Duren. He's a center that they need. I'm not high on Isaiah Stewart. I don't. Is it Isaiah Stewart, the center?
It's Isaiah Stewart.
It's Isaiah
Beef
Stewart.
Stew.
I don't like him.
Yeah, he's not great.
I don't like him. I don't know. Maybe he's a good backup.
He's a career backup, but I agree with you on that.
So that's that. I like the trade for them. For the Portland Trailblazers, I remember it came out that Jeremy Grant wanted an extension as soon as he got traded. And I'm sorry. Jeremy Grant wanted an extension as soon as he got traded. I'm not sure if they'll offer him that extension because he wanted a lot of money from what I remember. I think it was like 4 years, $112 million, which is way too much for a Jeremy Grant type player. I do like what Portland is buying into, though. They're clearly buying into a defensive team that they've never had under Damian Lillard. Their teams have always been top offense, but have never had anything good to do on defense. And buying into Jeremy Grant and buying into Gary Payton II, they finally are able to get that defensive team that they've wanted to surround around Damian Lillard. And I think it was always going to take getting rid of CJ to do what they wanted to do. It was a matter of time to get rid of CJ. So the trade that they would have run, I'm not sure how much better it would have been because CJ seems like he's rose his stock tremendously as soon as he got to the Pelicans because they gave him the point guard role, which is what he always should have been. But under Dame, he was never able to do that. So for the Pistons, I'd give them an A for now. If Jalen Duren becomes something great, then it'll go to an A+. For the Portland Trailblazers, for now, I would put them around a B, just because they clearly have what they want to do. They have a system they want to run. They're getting the players to build that system. And it's only a matter of time until we see whether they trade for Kevin Durant, what they decide to do. And not giving up the 7th overall pick is obviously a big bonus for the Portland Trailblazers.
I have a question for you, real quick, Tarek.
What's up?
If Portland wanted to focus like becoming a defensive only team, why would they trade Norman Powell and Robert Covington just for like some like Eric Bledsoe and Keon Johnson?
Well, they just cut
like
Eric Bledsoe today. They cut him, or was it yesterday? I'm not sure. But
yesterday.
They cut Eric Bledsoe, and they got Keon Johnson, who I'm sure they're very high on. Keon Johnson is a very good young player. I feel like he's underrated just because he never got time with you guys. I'm sure Portland will give him the opportunity that he deserves, and maybe he ends up being something. We don't know. And when it comes to Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow, and I forgot who else you guys gave, I feel like those players are no longer on the roster. They were all expiring contracts from what I know. So that trade no longer affects them. It opens up cap space. It gets them Keon Johnson, a young player. I'd give them maybe a B for that trade as well. I don't hate that trade for the Portland Trailblazers.
Also, I feel like
love the trade for you guys too.
Yeah. Also,
yeah,
more and more I think about it, like the more you're like talking about it, I feel like Jeremy Grant was more of a replacement of like the Norman Powell player that they got rid of during that trade. I feel like
they should have just traded for. Sorry to cut you off, but they should have just traded for Jeremy Grant instead of Norman Powell last year. They would, 2 years ago, whatever it was. Like it just doesn't make sense. It really, they're and I heard, by the way, this is what I heard. So I saw this on Twitter, not what I heard, but so the owner, I know she's going through
your mic.
Your mic muted. Hey, check this out. You're plugging out the out. You're probably gonna have to edit this out anyways. But check this out. Every time I hit my thing, it won't turn off. My phone is dead ass broken.
Sorry. So I heard that the owner of the Trailblazers, she also owns, I think, a couple other like Oregon teams. That she runs a couple of them, and so she basically is under fire right now, and she's not picking up any of Damian Lillard's calls, and she's not picking up any of his emails. She's trying to contact him, trying to get deals done. It's really unfortunate because this is a very poor run organization. We can clearly see that by their direction. I like the hiring of Chauncey Billups, but at some point you're gonna have to start, smelling the roses and see that you have to get Damian Lillard out of there. Let's be honest, he has to leave in order to finally, contend, and they finally have to start their rebuild because they're in a similar place right now. Without as the oh my God, who just traded as the Jazz, where they're just stuck with a great player and they have nothing else to build around him. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to move on?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So next trade. So we're going to be looking into the Malcolm Brogdon trade. Bunch of prospects that we really don't look at as good players or starting caliber players in the NBA. Aaron Nesmith, we don't know. He was viewed as the greatest shooter ever coming out of college. It's just a lot of question marks, and I don't understand why Indiana did the steal. I personally think that I would give them a D at most because maybe they got Nesmith in a first back at least. But when you really look at the packages that the other teams were rumored to have offered, I know the Clippers even offered Kennard in a deal. Maybe they're trying to save cap to go for Ayton. I don't know what the deal is because I think now they're under cap.
Straight cap.
Yeah, but I also know that they might do a sign trade for Miles Turner, something that got thrown out there. But when you really look at it, it's just a puzzling move because they could have got so many better. There's probably better packages, but the fact that Boston did this, I would again give the Pacers a D. I'm giving the Celtics my only A+ of this of this podcast, and only because I think he fits their system perfectly. He's expendable, by the way, so you can either play him as a 6-man or you can play him as your starting point guard. And you can go run a small ball lineup, or you can run a big lineup with him. He is a 6'5" point guard, and they already have Marcus Smart, who's above average point guard as well, even though he does play shooting guard. I love the team defensively. I also love it offensively because he gets – when you saw him in Milwaukee the year that he was prospering, winning Rookie of the Year, you really saw him spot up and shoot. And finally, he was integrated in that offense, and he was facilitating. He was getting spots for Giannis. I mean, that was probably their best year besides that title year that they were 2 games away from the Eastern Conference Finals and Kawhi away from, winning the title. You know what I mean? So it sucks that first of all, Milwaukee didn't keep on to him because they would have been great with him. But I mean, the fact that Boston has him right now, it's they're by far to me the best team in the NBA with the acquisition. So Hamal, if you want to go, take over on this one.
Yeah, but I 100% agree with you. On what you just said right there. Plus, Indiana, I think it was for cap because I think Brogdon. Yeah. The reason why Milwaukee traded Brogdon in the first place because he wanted a max rookie session or something like that. I forgot. But
I think it was he signed free agency, but it was they didn't want to give him his money, so Indiana paid him the bag. That's how it worked.
Yeah, but I give the Pacers a D or F here personally because I don't I like to get young talent out of this, but they mainly see it as a cap dump, and I give Boston a B+ or A- because Brogdon has that potential. So I feel either he could. It really depends on what they do with him. Either if he's gonna be a 6-man, run the bench and facilitate the bench core, I think that would be good. But then if he starts, I think that would be better because as we saw in the finals, Tatum was really struggling, just handling the ball in general.
Yeah.
He set an NBA record for most turnovers in playoffs, right? I feel
Yes.
like that'll put a lot of stress off of Tatum's hands if Brogdon just like it becomes the starter and facilitates the ball for them.
That spacing is incredible, by the way. And
Yeah.
that defense too. Thought if you want to chime in on it.
Yeah, so I view this trade a little bit different. I like this trade for both teams. I really do. And I'm not just saying that to say. I think this trade gives I believe you mentioned him. It gives someone like Aaron Nesmith the ability to spread his wings a little bit. On Boston, they were always contending, so he could never just go out there and chuck up 10 shots. I think here with Tyrese Halliburton and the possibility of them trading Miles Turner and Buddy Hield this offseason, they're obviously entering a rebuild. And so it gives somebody like Aaron Nesmith the ability to maybe show off what he has alongside Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Smith, who are doing the same exact thing. Also, they get a first-round pick in a 2023 draft that, from what I've seen so far, looks like it's deep. It looks like it's nice. It looks like it's good. There's great Victor Wembanyama is someone we brought up. They're not going to get him because Boston's going to be good.
Well, they have their pick too, so maybe they're that bad and they get him.
Yeah, maybe they're bad. They could contend for Victor. They could contend for Derek Whitehead, Scooter Henderson. There's a lot of really good players in that draft coming up. As for Boston, it's the best trade of the offseason so far. Wherever Kevin Durant ends up is going to end up being the greatest trade of the offseason. But so far, this is the best trade of the offseason. They get a guard. They get a true playmaker. I feel like Marcus Smart was never a true playmaker. He's always been a good guard. He's one of the better guards, the upper echelon of guards in the league, with his defensive ability and his ability to play in a system of offense, which Boston obviously created since he was drafted in, I believe, 2014 or 13. With that said, you can either run Malcolm Brogdon as a sixth man, or you can start him as a guard and run Marcus Smart as a two guard. We don't exactly know where they're going to go with that yet, but I do like their ability to have a player like Malcolm Brogdon, who's been 50, 40, 90, maybe I think it was once or either twice, who's shown the ability to shoot the ball, who's shown the ability to play make, who's shown the ability to create offense for a team. This could be what takes Boston over the hump, over the step, to be the real favorites to win an NBA championship. I like the trade for both teams.
100% I agree. I can't get over how much I love it. But I think we got a couple trades left, one of which being, big question mark, and we were talking about it earlier, DeJounte Murray to the Hawks, right? So this looks like it's going to be a fun trade because who doesn't love DeJounte Murray and Trae Young? The idea of it. However, when you really take a deep dive and look into it, I don't know how well it's going to work just because, yes, DeJounte Murray is above average defensive guard, and his steals numbers show that. But when you really look at the defensive plus minus numbers, he was like fifth or sixth on San Antonio, who has a couple good defenders in Jakob Poeltl and in Kellen Johnson. But outside of that, it's like if you're really fifth or sixth on your team in defensive plus minus, I don't know how good you are at defense. Obviously, made the all defensive team, stuff like that. He's a good playmaking guard, but with the loss of a John Collins, which you're probably going to have to take, unfortunately. If you don't trade Clint Capella, you cannot offer him like that big of a deal, or as big of a deal I think Charlotte would give him, or a team like just there's endless possibilities with this Hawks team, how they're going to line up next year. Personally, if you don't have John Collins on this team, I don't think it contends. However, if you do, I really like the prospect of John Collins being that lob threat. I think Lob City 2.0 would be perfect on this. You could even trade Clint. I think Onyeka Okongwu is great. I'm excited for the Hawks, but it's like I'm cautionary, okay, because I don't know how well this team is going to play together. Like DeAndre Hunter, do I think he'll be as big of a scoring off the dribble threat? No, but do I think he needs to improve his catch and shooting? Yes. Still really like his defense though. They're defensively, they're pretty solid. They've definitely improved around Trae Young. You kind of need to mask the fact that he's probably one of the worst defensive guards in the NBA, and I don't think that's a shot at all. He's probably one of the best offensive guards in the NBA. As far as the Hawks, I'd probably give it a B plus. I like the deal. It's a cool deal. For the Spurs, this is close to an F or like a C. You really don't know. They got 2 picks, man. You could have definitely got from the Knicks. You definitely could have got something like Emmanuel quickly, Jericho Sims, and maybe a first or 2 first. Honestly, I think the Knicks would have been more willing to overpay because they're getting a guard that I think is miles better than Jalen Brunson. So, but I want to hear what you think about the Static. I know you're excited. I'd probably give the Spurs an F though.
Okay, so by the way, I believe it's 3 picks.
3 picks? Okay.
I would have, if you're able to research that real quick, as I speak about it, I believe it's 3 picks. I believe it's 2025, 2027, and 2029.
Okay. If it's 3 picks, I'll give it a C minus, but I don't like it if
that's
it's 3
what it is. But with that said, the Hawks. Yeah, it's 3 first. Okay. So
it's 2 first. It's 2 first. It's 2 first and a pick swap, but it's also conditional. So if they, it's a conditional pick swap. That's what it's like.
Yeah. Okay. With that said, the Hawks are my second team other than the Lakers for the time being because Trae Young is my favorite player in the league, and I would say it's not even close. I love Trae Young. I think Trae Young is a top 5 offense in himself. Trae Young can carry a team, any team that he enters to a top 5 offense. As we saw last year, he led the league in total points and total assists, which he was the first point guard, first player to do it in a while. I forgot who the last guy to do it was. But also, we got to remember that DeJounte Murray also led the league last year in total steals and steals per game, was a first-time All-Star, averaging 19.6 and 7, and 2.1 steals per game. He shows that he can carry a defense by himself, or per se not carry a defense, but lead a defense and show them the way. Maybe DeJounte Murray being in the backcourt with Trae Young will force Trae Young to give more effort on defense. I'm not saying he'll become a good defender, but maybe he will give more effort to try to defend. Being an undersized point guard, you're never going to be a good defender, but at least trying will take it a long way. With the Atlanta Hawks, the only thing that I need them to do this offseason is find a trade for John Collins. I think that him no longer wanting to be on the team is a negative asset, even though his contract, I was okay with it.
Me too.
I was one of the people, a lot of people didn't like it. I was okay with the contract.
I'm a John Collins. I think he's elite.
I believe it too. I would like him to get traded. I would like for them to find a good trade for him, though, just because he doesn't want to be there. And lastly, I am praying that Clint Capella is off this roster. I'm very, very high on Onyeka Okongwu. I want him to start. I want him to be able to spread his wings, be able to be that lob threat for Trae Young, be able to be fed by Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. I think also getting AJ Griffin at 16 was the steal of the draft, and it showed, and DeAndre Hunter. The Hawks have a very bright future, and we've seen what they're able to do, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I think they are a few pieces, a few moves away from really contending in the NBA. I'm high on this trade. I think that it's nice. I think that there's also a little bit of like unknown and scariness through it because we don't know how DeJounte and Trae will mesh together. I like what the Hawks are doing. I think they have a clear route and a clear mindset as to what they want to do. I think it's just going to take a little bit more trades and a little more pieces moved around to be able to truly fulfill what their ultimate goal is in winning a championship.
All right, Mara, what do you think, man?
I think the Spurs are just gonna tank for Victor Wembanyama. That's simple.
Yeah.
I feel like him. I feel like if Spurs get him and him be coached by Pop and like be developed by Popovich, is gonna like make him like such a spectacular player. But then after the Hawks with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, this is kind of like giving me like Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook type of like vibe. Because like DeJounte Murray, like he's like a good playmaker, he's like a flashy young guard. While Trae Young, he's more like a scorer type of player. He's an offensive player basically, and it's basically like a Bradley Beal Westbrook with like a good team around them. But
That's
then,
crazy.
Yeah, but then they have
that's an interesting comparison because Trae Young leads the league in total assists, so he's fully offense, but he's also keeping his teammates involved. Plus, DeJounte Murray is one of the best. Is honestly, in my opinion, could be the best defensive guard in the league. He's one of, if not, he's one of easily.
There's definitely.
I'm sure there's someone I'm not thinking of right now, but
Marcus Smart, like 1,000,000%. So
interesting viewpoint. Not an
no, but he did win it. He won the award.
Just because he won it doesn't make him a better defender.
That's exactly what it means.
Mm-mm.
That's literally exactly what the award is for.
It's voters, bro. You can't believe all that.
I don't even think he deserved it.
So let me ask you a question. Jokic won the MVP. Do you think Jokic is better than Steph Curry? No.
Right now I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. Do you think Jokic is better than Kevin Durant? No, you don't.
Yeah.
Right now, I do. You think Jokic is better than LeBron? No, you don't.
Right now, yes, I do. I do, actually.
Oh, my God.
You're just saying that to say NBA. I'm not saying that to say it. I genuinely believe Jokic and Embiid are fighting for second and third in the NBA right now because I think they're the most dominant players.
Okay, so Jokic won it over Giannis. Do you think Jokic is better than Giannis?
Giannis is different, man. Giannis is definitely different.
Giannis is
but because Giannis did win it to save him out.
Hey, let him out continue what he was saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's fine. So like what I mean by like a Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook type of thing is like they're both like good guards. But I feel like what Dark you said about like Trae Young assist numbers, like being the lead like assister, remember? I feel like that's gonna go way down because I feel like DeJounte Murray be running the ball more.
It's more John Wall, Bradley Beal than it is Bradley Beal, Westbrook.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. And I think Trae Young's a little bit worse than John Wall was at that stage in his career. I think DeJounte Murray is way worse than Bradley Beal. Not way worse, but I think he's a little bit worse than Bradley Beal. It's like a poor man's John Wall, Bradley Beal. Because John Wall was the best guard in the NBA before Steph Curry and Chris. Like during that area where Chris Paul was getting older and then Steph was starting to get into his zone. That's what I think.
Actually, yeah, you could say that too. Yeah. And also like they're talking about the Hawks. I feel like getting rid of Danilo Gallinari was like all right, I guess, but I didn't really like it that much.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, but I feel like he stretched the floor well for them. And between John Collins and Clint Capella, I feel like they had to get rid of one or both because the spacing with them two is like terrible. Like because they both.
John Collins could shoot though. John Collins could definitely shoot.
John Collins could shoot, but I feel like he's better off just like being like the guy who goes in the paint, catches lobs, and like defends well in the paint. If you know what I'm saying. And talking about like Atlanta, like you said, Onyeka Okongwu, I'm very high on him too. Like I'm saying, like like you guys are saying, they should either get rid of Clint Capella or John Collins. And if John Collins, like you guys say, was very unhappy with the team, then might as well get rid of him because that's gonna mess up chemistry.
Yep. So, last trade, probably the biggest, I guess the most notable player traded this offseason. I don't think it's the best player traded this offseason. But when you really look at the grand scale of things and the package that they got for him, Rudy Gobert is really the main catalyst of the offseason. And like, he was pointed out villain in Utah. Obviously you guys know my feelings towards Rudy Gobert. I don't like the trade for both teams. I'm going to be honest with you because I think now you're straining one of the best shooting guards in the league, Donovan Mitchell, alone, zero assets, absolutely nobody around him. I mean, that team is very, very bad. outside of Donovan Mitchell. They traded basically his two best friends in Eric Pascal and Royce O'Neal. I'm assuming he's going to want out in the next couple of days. That's just my opinion. As much as the Jazz hold still on that opinion. So for the Jazz, I'd give it like a B because they got a good return. But at the same time, you're going to lose Donovan Mitchell. I'm sure of it. Unless something happens where they get like DeAndre Ayton, which I would like to see again, as I said earlier. So I'd probably give them a D because of the picks. But other than that, you really got zero players. In terms of the Timberwolves, it's a C for me, just because we know what they can do, and I like the idea of Anthony Edwards finally having good defenders around him. Because he improved defensively, but him and D'Lo were definitely defensive liabilities in the playoffs last year. John Morant was actually torching them, and then you had Desmond Bane, who was dropping like 18 during the season, dropping 30-point games when Ja wasn't really on his night, and then so they were getting torched basically. You also have to remember Anthony Edwards is just going to get better, and Cat is honestly is probably going to stay around the same. I think Cat. I said this before. Cat is probably one of the worst defensive bigs I've seen in a long time. He's very lazy. He's slow on his feet. Offensively, he's great. Like he's absolutely incredible. But when you really take a deep dive on like his impact on the game, that's why they've been so bad for so many years. It's because Cat doesn't do everything for them. Or sorry, he can't really play defense. That's it. And although it seems enticing to have Rudy Gobert covering his rim protecting job, it's like, what's the point when you're gonna play small ball lineups in the Western Conference Finals and the Clippers or the Warriors, or even in the playoffs, and they're gonna absolutely light you guys up because you have zero movement on the perimeter, and you basically lost your two best on ball defenders in Jared Vanderbilt and who was locking up Norman Powell in that game, and Patrick Beverly. I really don't understand. I just don't understand what the Timberwolves are trying to do here. I guess you're trying to contend, and you only have so many more years with Cat before he's going to want out. And then you're trying to get something for Ant, trying to get a supporting cast around him. It just really doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. I'll give him like a C again. But they gave him 5 picks, man. Rudy Gobert is not that good of a defender. It's the same thing. No. It's the same thing as the Jazz team where they have zero perimeter defenders, and then you go into the interior. Oh, you have Rudy Gobert, but these are teams lining them up for 33s a night in the playoffs. They had two instances where that happened. It's just unreal. It doesn't make sense to me. They're not going to do much. That's it.
Okay, but I want to go. So like, I don't like the shade for Minnesota at all. That just makes the team way worse. They got rid of basically they got Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert to fill up all the missing pieces they gave up. But I also don't like it at all. It's like what you said, Sal. KarlAnthony Towns can't really defend. D'Lo can't really defend. Edwards, he's gonna get better, but he can't really defend. Rudy Gobert can, but his perimeter defense sucks. And like you said, every team in the West is either ball dominant or they could shoot lights out.
Yeah.
And they struggle with that heavily. And plus, getting rid of Patrick Beverly too, that's I feel like Patrick Beverly, like he was for the Clippers, he's a leader in that locker room. And I feel like if Cat's your leader in the locker room, it's not going to go well. Because you seen at times where Cat throws temper tantrums, especially in that play game against Clippers. He was too much in his head.
Bad.
Yeah, he was so bad in his head.
What about you, Tony?
So y'all pretty much said everything that I would say. I don't know if you guys really talked about the Utah side of things.
I did. I mean, I just said
for Utah. For Utah, I give them an A++ to the max. This trade is, I would say, one of the biggest steals in recent history. I would say it's up there with I don't even know at this point. I'm not sure. I would say the Paul George one was a finesse too. Getting Shea and a lot of picks and getting all of the Clippers.
But it wasn't bad for the Clippers either at all.
It wasn't bad for the Clippers, but you guys have gotten really nothing out of it except for an unhealthy Paul George who hasn't played. He's played less games than Anthony Davis for as much as we say. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I love the trade for the Utah Jazz. Getting 5 picks for Rudy Gobert is come on, bro. If you told me that they would have gotten 5 picks and Jared Vanderbilt for Rudy Gobert 2 weeks ago, I'd have called you crazy. I would have called you crazy because that is one of the most all-time finesses ever. Getting to have picks past both Cat and even Rudy Gobert's contracts shows that you own the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shows that they're buying in on the now, and the Minnesota Timberwolves will be nowhere near being able to contend for an NBA championship this year. Respectfully. Unless they make more trades, which I think D'Lo needs to be off that roster 100%. And other moves. We've talked about this a lot. So I'm just going to round it off with saying I'd give the Minnesota Timberwolves maybe a C. You have the highest paid backcourt in NBA history. Doesn't deserve it. Doesn't deserve it. Cat and Rudy Gobert are both great all-star players. They're both amazing. Rudy Gobert, in my opinion, Hall of Famer. Cat, we don't know what he's going to do. He's only 25, 26. I'm not sure where the trade will go. I'm not sure where it'll be for both teams. I like it for Utah. I'm unsure about it for Minnesota. Wherever it goes, it goes. I'm not going to say it's a terrible trade, even though, in my opinion, I don't like it. But
before you
Minnesota's
finish,
never been a winning franchise. They've only been to the playoffs twice since Kevin Garnett left. You have to sell tickets, and at the end of the day, this move was made to make them a contender, make them a playoff team, and sell tickets.
And also, we said this earlier. We were thinking that, like, instead of D'Lo, the Wolves really need a facilitator because D'Lo is a shot chucker, like we said earlier, and he's taking shots away from Ant. But we also said that we were also talking about earlier the Chris Paul trade and how nobody viewed Phoenix as a future title contender or anything like that the year of. So we never really know the possibility for the Timberwolves. As of right now, though, we are going to move on to a quick little segment before our last final chunk. Just what do you guys think about the Kings? Okay, they made some really nice moves, I think. I just wanted to go over it because
I want to time this out real quick. My man looked at my notes. I wrote these notes, and on the bottom in capital letters, I literally wrote the Kings.
Listen.
He stole my notes. Half the stuff he said today, he stole from me, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not true. Anyways, we got to talk about the accusations of Malik Monk. They also had Keegan Murray, which I like a lot. I like Keegan Murray.
He played great in Summer League.
He's a good shooter. I think he's perfect for what they need because he also plays defense. You know what I mean? And he grabs boards. I think they're gonna run a small ball lineup where Sabonis playing the 5, and then you're gonna have Keegan at the 4. I don't know who's gonna run the 3. Honestly, I haven't really been paying it. Harrison Barnes, and then you'll have Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox, which I think might contend for a playoff spot. Call me crazy. They also have depth. They have Davion Mitchell. They have a lot of nice kids.
I don't like it.
No, but he's a good defender. That's what I like about him, and I think he'll finally develop a shot this year. They have some nice pieces. I'm still pissed off about them trading Tyrese Halliburton because that would have been perfect this year. But you know what? I'm really excited for the Kings. I want to get your opinion first on it because I know you're really passionate about you guys losing Malik Monk.
Okay, so from a Laker fan, bro, I'm telling you, last year when we signed Malik Monk, I said if he because it was a 1-year deal. I will never buy a jersey of someone on a 1-year deal. My thing was if he was to re-sign with us, I would have bought his jersey instantly because he was.
Would you buy a Kings jersey? Would you buy a Kings jersey though?
Absolutely, positively not.
No, but they're black jerseys with the cursive writing. Sorry to cut you off.
If Tyrese Halliburton was there, I would consider buying one of him. Okay. But right now, there's no one on the Kings that deserves my money. With that said, I really like their trade to get Kevin Huerter. I think that trade will go because of the 2 trades that happened after the Malcolm Brogdon and Rudy Gobert trade. That trade will go unnoticed. But I think Kevin Huerter, since he was selected as a lottery pick, 19th overall pick in the draft in 2018. Same year Trae Young. He has another step to take. I'm not saying he'll be an all-star, but I'm saying he has one more step to take before he's
solid. Sorry to cut you off. He was averaging 12 on 40%.
He is a great
That's
player.
sick.
We saw what he was able to do.
Good defense too. I'm sorry to cut you off, but good defense. Really good defense. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I love the point you brought up. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I really like that.
We saw what he was able to do on their run to the Eastern Conference Finals, so we know what Kevin Huerter is made of. Also, bringing back Chimezie Metu, people don't really know about him because he's not one of those names that you think of.
He's athletic as fuck. He's athletic as fuck.
Solid.
Yeah.
He's a baller. They still have the trade asset of the trade chip of Harrison Barnes. We're not exactly sure what they're going to do with HB yet. I'm not sure what their front office is thinking about that one. I'm not sure I think it's Ryan McNair that runs things there.
Yeah, he's done a solid job so far.
He's done an okay job.
They got Terrence Davis too on the free, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Another acquisition, that a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Hamal, if you want to, chip in this, what do you think about Kings' future? Really,
I like the Kings' future. They're really investing in young talent, like I said, Chimezie Metu and Keegan Murray and all those guys. But the one concern I have is that they're playing in the Pacific Division. Like, if they're gonna try make a playoff push, like with that Tyrese Halliburton move, which I didn't really like at all.
Yeah.
They're gonna versus the Warriors 4 times a year, Lakers 4 times a year, Suns 4 times a year, Clippers 4 times a year, and they have to compete with that type of level or talent or teams in even the Western Conference in general. So I feel like if the Kings should just focus more on the next couple of years instead of right now, which I feel like that's what they're trying to focus on, which I don't really like at all.
They still got a young core. I mean, Domantas Sabonis is only about 26 years old. Aaron Fox about 23, 24. I mean, everybody's young on the team. I would like to say, though, a surprising player last year that was really good for them was Josh Jackson. They also had Jeremy Lamb, who didn't really play that much, but he's a solid player. They probably won't bring him back. He's a free agent. But they still got solid guys on the bench like Rashawn Holmes, who was in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. We said this was going to be a quick segment. I think we can all agree.
Hey, Rashawn Holmes is the next Miles Bridges. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm being serious.
Really?
Yeah.
Actual accusations?
Accusations came out last year, but they just didn't go as big as these Miles Bridges ones did because he never.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I apologize.
But I wanted to add one more thing. If the Sacramento Kings beat the teams that they are supposed to beat, they'll be in minimum the play-in next year.
Perfect. I love that. So finally, our grand finale, okay? The moment we've all been waiting for. Everybody's talking about it. The biggest news in the NBA, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn. It's a tricky situation because this is probably the biggest failure in NBA history.
Yeah.
And maybe the Clippers could go down on the line of that because they had they probably had a better squad. But I mean, they're still not done. They at least made the Western Conference Finals. So the Nets only won about one playoff series in their whole 10 years, which is that's bad, man. They were probably a toenail away from making the finals. For being real, they could have done something. Things didn't go their way. James Harden left Brooklyn. Now you have a situation where Kyrie's not playing games because he doesn't want to get vaxxed. Then you have Kevin Durant, who's put up with all this shit, to be fair. He's finally saying, no, I want out. And they're asking for Cat and Anthony Edwards and 5 first-round picks. So clearly there's not going to be a Kevin Durant trade going on. We will talk about those packages. Right now, really quickly, I just want to talk about Kyrie. We all know that he wants to be in LA. I still want him to be in Dallas. Also because I don't want to be a Laker, but also because I kind of want to see that between him and Luka. Maybe it's probably not going to happen and he's going to be a Laker. Can we all I just want to say a quick little segment. We're going to be doing this every single day until Kyrie or Kevin Durant are traded. It's called THT in a first, okay? So THC, Russ, and a first. We're gonna be picking trade packages for them. So obviously today's is Kyrie. What do you guys think is gonna happen with Kyrie? Is he going to be a Laker? And if so, when? Kamala, if you want to take that.
I feel like Kyrie is gonna be a Laker once Kevin Durant gets traded, because I feel like they're not gonna get rid of Kyrie if KD's still on the team. Because I feel like Brooklyn's main objective is to like keep the team together, as we saw who did they sign recently? I forgot who.
TJ Warren.
Yeah, TJ Warren, and they trade for Royce O'Neal.
And a couple Indiana Pacers guys, which I found weird, but go ahead.
Yeah, Edmund Sumner is very interesting. Why'd they sign him?
Yeah. He was solid in the bubble before. Indiana just has a lot of Achilles problems. I don't know, but go ahead, Amara.
Yeah, but I feel like if we're gonna see like a timetable where Kyrie's gonna get traded, I'll be honest, he's gonna be traded to the Lakers. But Kyrie's gonna get traded either after Kevin Durant gets traded, or when the Lakers decide to give more than THT Russ in the first. Because I heard reports saying that like the reasons why the Lakers trade wasn't falling through is because the Lakers want to add multiple first round picks. So I understand why they won't add multiple first round picks, because it's Kyrie Irving. He's pretty much unpredictable.
But it's Russell Westbrook and THT.
Hey, it's not even that, bro. You gotta understand. Why are we giving up multiple firsts when nobody's betting against us?
That's true.
Exactly. Exactly what you said.
All right, Sonic, take it away. Take it away.
Kyrie, I will have a Kyrie Irving jersey in 2 to 3 business months. I will have a Kyrie Irving jersey hanging next to my AD and Russell Westbrook one very, very soon.
Yeah.
Even if it's on a 1 year, it's Kyrie fucking Irving. I'm buying the jersey. What else? THT in a first should get me anybody, bro. Come on, it's THT.
Yeah, okay. THT in a first for Jesus Christ and Moses, okay? I think that's a really good deal. Kamal, what about you? You think that's solid?
I agree.
All right. So next, this is the actual grand finale. I know we built up. This is Kevin Durant. All right. I want you guys to list your fantasy where you want to see Kevin Durant go, like your fantasy team and a trade package for that. And then I also want to see you guys list what's realistic, what do you think is actually going to happen. So I'll just start this off real quick. I personally want to see it. This is what I want to see. I was looking at the Pelicans and the Raptors, okay? Now, the Pelicans, if they have to add Zion in, I'm already out on the deal because I really wouldn't want to see that. Come on, I want to see them add in Brandon Ingram because he's basically replacing him. He's just a better Brandon Ingram. But if we're talking about the Raptors, dude, I think if they just don't give up Pascal Siakam, if you give up Scotty Barnes, if you give up Malachi Flynn, a couple of other pieces, your draft pick this year, and then probably you're probably going to have to give up 5 or 6 firsts and a bunch of seconds, if we're going to be honest. If that's the case, I would like to see him team up with, you might have to give up OG too, honestly. OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Malachi Flynn, and 5 or 6 firsts, maybe a couple pick swaps. That would get it done, and I would love to see that. Kevin Durant on that team with Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and all those guys. I really like that squad. There's something about Kevin Durant with Fred VanVleet that just makes me reminisce about that 2019 Raptors team, and it just makes me think I would have them as my favorite in the East, besides the Celtics. So probably the second best team in the East. I think any team you're adding Kevin Durant on, besides the Suns, isn't going to be the clear cut favorite, or but the Pelicans wouldn't be the favorites. Now, what I realistically think is going to happen, the Suns are probably going to scoop him up. I think eventually his value is not going to get so low, but it's going to get to the point where he's going to be so disgruntled they're not playing him, and they're just going to waste another year of his deal without paying him. That they're going to probably trade him to the Suns for a package of Ayton. We've also had this Ayton, Bridges, 3 firsts and 2 pick swaps. That's probably, and Cam Johnson too. So Thodic, I know you really wanted to talk about this. So shoot, man.
When it comes to Kevin Durant, trades just don't feel realistic anymore. They asked for Anthony Edwards, KarlAnthony Towns, and 4 firsts. If that's your asking price, he's never getting traded. The guy's going to become a Brooklyn Net. It's going to be another Kobe situation where Kobe asked for a trade to Chicago. They asked for Luol Deng. He said, all right, I don't want to be there anymore. Anybody that Kevin Durant wants to go to is going to have to give up an arm and a leg to get him, to the point where they're no longer contending. So Kevin Durant isn't going to want to be traded to a team that's no longer in contention for an NBA championship. That's the reason he's leaving Brooklyn, because they've shown that they're not able to sustain a team around him that is in contention for an NBA championship. One playoff series isn't going to win you anything. Certainly not the right to keep Kevin Durant. Now, the only reason I disagree with his trade request is because he had a player option this year. He did have a player option this year, but last year he decided to extend it to another 5-year extension worth however much, $200 million plus. Now, if he didn't, something had to change within this year and last year.
He's just done with the shit, dude. He's just done with it.
It could be the James Harden stuff. It could be the Kyrie Irving stuff. We don't know. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm confused on why he would let Kyrie opt in to his player option and then request the next day. That's the only reason I'm confused. But when it comes to Kevin Durant, it's going to take multiple teams to get this guy to his new home. It's going to take a multiple team trade, maybe 4-team trade, where Brooklyn gets the assets they want and other teams are able to get the assets they want. Maybe a Kyrie and KD trade might happen together. Okay. That includes 5-6 teams. It could. It's going to take lawyers and.
Where's a realistic landing place you think for KD?
I think the only place that Kevin Durant lands is in Phoenix. That's the only place he wants to go. Miami's not getting KD. Respectfully, they're not. They believe they're getting everybody. It's just not happening.
Without Bam, if you don't give a Bam, there's no way.
And you can't give up Bam unless they get rid of Simmons. You can't give up Bam unless Brooklyn trades Ben Simmons. And I don't see anybody taking Ben Simmons right now.
Where do you want to see him though? Like, where do you think it would play out the best? Because without Ayton, you're trading Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. They're 3 best defensive players. That team would be defensively horrendous.
My dream scenario for a KD trade would be a Brandon Ingram and a few picks to the Pelicans. I think that because Brandon Ingram is a Walmart Kevin Durant. Imagine getting the real Kevin Durant here next to that team. Even if you have to give up Dyson Daniels and Brandon Ingram and maybe a pick, you're still
maybe Herbert Jones. You're probably gonna have to give Herbert Jones too, for being honest.
You still get a team that's able to do things around Kevin. A trade of Brandon Ingram, what's his name? The guy that just got arrested.
Miles Bridges.
No, not him. Other one.
Devontae Graham.
Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham, and like Jose Alvarado with a bunch of picks.
No, you need Dyson Daniels, Herb Jones. Those are their 2 best assets. Maybe even Jackson Hayes.
Whatever it is, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm making that trade happen to pair up.
That team would be nasty.
Williamson.
That team would be nasty, but
that's my dream scenario. And I think it's a realistic scenario.
Very true.
If they're willing to give up Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. I'll finish off the episode.
Okay. I have a really, really, really hot trade. I feel like I don't know if it's fantasy realistic or not, but I like to see Kevin Durant join James Harden back in Philly. Him, James Harden, and Joel Embiid.
Nothing to give up.
Maxey, Tobias, Matisse.
And maybe there's more too. Yeah, but like I'm saying, like I just want to see Joel Embiid with like an actual good superstar. If Harden's good, but we don't know. Like as we saw last year, he looks like he's gonna regress. I feel Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid is gonna be really, really fun to see. But realistically, I see Kevin Durant going to the Suns.
We all do.
The Suns have more to offer than the Sixers. And also, one other team I'd like to see Kevin Durant go to, even though it's not going to happen in Miami, because we saw how well Jimmy Butler could play with an actual good like superstar and good team around him. Like we saw in Philly. Yeah. Philly, he was just like a Kawhi Leonard shot away from winning the finals.
That's exactly. And honestly, I agree with everything. This episode was so much fun. You know,
indeed.
This was probably my favorite episode we filmed. I think it was, we had a little bit of disagreements, but in all, I think we had
disagreement is what makes it fun.
Exactly. Thank you all for watching The Hot Seat.
See y'all next time.
back
Hopefully next time we talk, there's KD, Kyrie, something happens.
Yep, and hopefully in the next couple of days we'll get another free agency episode out where deals actually happen. All right, 100%, guys.
I agree.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
The hot seat.